Hi, this is Kimberly Slavic, the CEO of Dine Exec, and this is Visnostics Wine-30. And this is the time when we talk to our readers about their successes using Visnostics. And today we're talking to Mr. Jay Phillips. Hi, Jay.
Hi, good morning.
So let's just get right into it. Tell us the successes that you've had with Visnostics.
Well, how I actually met you was through Facebook stalking Joe Ingram, and I was in a situation with with the company that I was working with, where I was having to come up with a strategy to continue to employ a group of people that weren't showing revenue, but we were adding value to the company. But from an executive side, um, you have to show value monetarily, and we just weren't doing that. We were showing value in other ways, but we just weren't doing that. And so I was charged with going into a physician board and presenting these ideas. And so why they should keep me, why they should keep the group of people that I was working with, and it all kind of fell to this. It all fell on that presentation. From the words that I was hearing, that's what it fell to. And so I really started researching, and what an easy way to do it was through Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all these things that are free. I didn't really have to pay for anything. And so I remember going through I don't know how it happened. The Facebook gods, whatever you want to say, divine intervention is probably more than likely than anything else. But he had a post where he was just talking about words to use to get people's attention. And so I was like, well, that's what I need. I need that. I need to understand this. I don't know enough about this. I knew my career and the things that I was doing. I was very good at that and very talented at that, but I didn't know all these other steps. And Joe is in sales and still is in sales. And so I was like, well, that's something that I need to learn. And then the next thing I know, your video pops up on how to write an effective email subject line. And I was, well, that's pretty interesting. So I liked it, clicked friend request because I was just interested. And then anyway, long story short, we started talking, and you asked, how do we know each other? And then it gets into this, well, this is what's going on. And you immediately called me, and I thought that was odd. I didn't know you. And we just started talking, and it was like you wanted to know you wanted to understand the problem, not so that you could fix it, but so that you could help me go to someone else that could help me fix it. And so we started talking about the different books, and have you heard of this book, and have you heard of that book, and Bosworth's What Great Salespeople Do. And I was not in sales. I had a passion for sales, but my profession was not true sales. And so I was generating lots of revenue for the company, but not in a true quote unquote sales form. And so listening to that book, you said, once you listen to that book, get my book. And so I did that. And it was all within like 2 weeks. And then I called you and I said, all right, I've got everything. I'm understanding. And then you said, okay, so let's do this presentation. And it was awful. Fortunately for me, COVID occurred, and I didn't have to give that presentation when I was supposed to, because it was one of the worst things I have ever, going back now, preparing for this conversation, I watched, it was awful. Holy cow, it was terrible. And my vision board was terrible. All these things that I was working towards, it was not on point. It was not the true Visnostic way. And so, so anyway, with our conversations, I tallied it up. We talked about 15 hours on the phone. We emailed, we text messaged, we did just about everything, Facebook stalking, everything that I could possibly do to pick your brain to get the approval of this other group. And I just kept hearing success stories from all these other people in different professions saying, hey, this is a way to speak. Stop talking like a vendor. Start talking like the client. And so once I did, we met before my presentation. I completely changed my presentation, and lo and behold, we were able to fix that. And I say we because it wasn't me. I can guarantee it wasn't me. but it was this way to get the attention of the individual that I'm wanting, and share the ideas that I already had, but I couldn't do it in a way that was successful to get the end result that I wanted.
Yeah, lots happened to you since all this, right?
Yes, lots have happened.
So
Lots of things, sure.
tell them how you've evolved professionally with Visnostics.
Well, yeah. So once I was able to do that, once I was able to secure the approval of the physician board and get those things underway, I really thought, what better way to advance my career? I'd already gone to the highest level that I could go within the company that I was working with. I was not going to advance. I even was told that. So how could I go financially higher? And how could I continue to use these ideas and these principles? And so I have always had a passion for sales. And so I ventured out, sent my resume out several places, and lo and behold, I am now a pharmaceutical sales rep for a company, and I'm using these statements all the time, and it's really fun. One of the fun things about preparing for this was seeing all of the changes that have happened since our first conversation in March,
Mhm.
but how terrible I was at not understanding these concepts. And I had the book. We talked all the time, and I could tell you what you wanted to hear, but I couldn't do it. I could not do it. But really living in this and just diving into these ideas of how to get people to get out of their way and understand that there might be a better way. I might not have it. I might not have the better way, but I might be able to point you to someone that does. And you end up not becoming a sales rep, but you immediately go into this idea of um, a consultant.
Yeah.
And that's the goal anyway in sales, is to go into a consultant role, but moving quickly and efficiently in a way where you're not always selling something. I had a conversation with a gentleman not too long ago, and he said, "Jay, you're just calling to check on me?" And I said, "Yeah, like, well, I just want to make sure you're okay. I haven't talked to you in a while. I just want to make sure everything's going fine." And and this was right before Thanksgiving. And so we had this really great conversation, but it was all of these ideas of using Visnostic statements to get these conversations going.
Mhm. And where are you today? I
What
don't mean like you don't have to share your company name, but professionally, how are you doing today?
Well, so that's a great question. Last month, every month is different, but last month I was the highest grossing um, sales professional for my company for all of the new hires this last year. So people that had been there for quite some time compared to me, relationships building compared to me, I surpassed them in financial gains for the company.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I can say that I did this, but you and I both know, and all these readers out there will know too, that it wasn't me. It was this relationship that you and I have built, this mentorship that you and I have built, and it's all based on this book where I just kept thinking, like, what is she saying? What are these people doing that I can't do? What I couldn't understand it, and this is not something that I don't talk like this. I don't normally talk like this. But in one of your podcasts, you said, or one of your videos, you said, if you start thinking like this, your relationships will change because your words aren't jumbled in your head and they don't come out as this. These are my words now, not yours, but this word vomit. And I went back in preparing for this conversation. I went back and looked at all the emails and the faxes that I was sending and the conversations that I was having, and it was word vomit. And then once I really started honing in on what I wanted, these buzzwords that I needed to share, going back to your previous my previous intrigue into you of the subject line, envision, using words like envision, using words like imagine your dream home with the savings that you're going to get today.
Mhm.
And I don't like, I'm going to say, like, Zig Ziglar's line, I don't want every sale, I just want the next sale. This doesn't work on everyone, But the people that are engaged in that reading, it is able to draw them out of that. And I do get feedback from that. What a great email. I haven't had that email in a while. I've never seen that. Who are you? Where are you with? Where are you with?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's definitely changing my perspective of things, and it's making me better for sure.
Great. So share with the audience the Visnostics principles that have impacted you the most, because there's a lot to Visnostics. People ask me all the time, what are Visnostics? And I invented it, and it's not a short answer because it's a different thing to different people. It's a thought process. It's it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's about neuroscience and brain chemistry. That, our pictures, our graphics need to match our message. There's a whole bunch of principles. Which ones really stood out to you in helping you be successful?
That's a really good question, and I think it's different for the different situations that I've been in since our conversation. And I think I will never forget the first time I used one of your phrases. You and I worked on it, and I can't even find it. I wrote it down. I can't even find this phrase. And just so you know, as soon as we get off of this, I will be able to. It'll all be there. But I had a conversation with the one of the top executives of the company that I was previously with, and he was wanting to know my vision. Well, I know my vision. Everyone around me knows my vision. He knew it, but I couldn't say it in a way that would get his attention to where we could actually talk about it.
Mm.
And so I shared, it was using these ideas of, when do you want this RTH formula? When is this going to occur? What your results? It's fine. What's your timeline? How is this going to happen? And I turned that, it was not I, it was you and I working on this. We turned that one little phrase into a catalyst of an hour-and-a-half conversation that we were not going to have beforehand. It was not going to happen. I'm telling you, it wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But one phrase led to another phrase that wasn't an RTH formula phrase, but it led to this idea. And then these ideas were being shared. They were already there, but knowing a better way to say it opened up more opportunities for those things to be said.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one way, that RTA, just use of that way. Use of three. In my PowerPoint presentations, you and I talked about this quite a bit, using the idea of three. Dollar signs. I'll never forget the look of the laughs on people's faces when I shared my PowerPoint, and it was a physician, just a cartoon character physician with a lab coat on, and he was pulling gobs of money out of his pockets. And I had three of those, one in the foreground, two in the background, and it was a male dominated or male board. So it was all men, and they were pulling money out of their pockets. And the giggles and the laughs and the smiles as I was talking, they were laughing at the cartoon. They weren't laughing. I mean, they might've been laughing at me. I'm not, who's to say they weren't, but the response that they were having was what I wanted. The result that I got was bigger conversations based on the presentation that I gave. And it occurred. It did happen. The positive result was I was able to save that group, but it was based on these ideas, these use of threes. Drawings over photos. We talked about that before. You and I have talked hours about that. The use of drawings over photos. Photos are great. You can find them anywhere. But the drawing, getting those people engaged, because our brains want that release of serotonin when we do want that. It's helped me make instant connections when I'm doing that with people. I've actually had a failure, and I'm not afraid to share this. I've actually had a failure, and you were one of the first ones to point it out. You and I talked about this. It was a meeting with a really big director of operations for a large amount of hospitals. It wasn't the operations. She wasn't operations. She was the director of the group that I was trying to get and trying to earn their business. And you said to me, well, you're going to have to fail because this is terrible. Like this is awful. And I'll never forget this because not like it was all that long ago, but that reaction was, well, I'm not going to fail. Well, guess what? I did, because I was not prepared. And though my Visnostic statements were ready, my presentation wasn't ready. And it wasn't the true form that we are sharing now. It wasn't the use of three. It wasn't drawings over photos. It wasn't this using trigger words. And so anyway, those are some things that have really challenged me and have helped me by doing those things.
Yeah, when I make a comment to people and I say you have to fail to get it, I learn more and I've grown more from the losses than I have the successes. So if I lost a deal, I always went back to the people, the decision makers, and thank them. First of all, thank them for their time and their consideration. Always had a good attitude and said, I really learned more from my losses, and I value your input. What could I have done better? What did they do better than me? And those losses are really how you get stronger, because pain causes retention and it really makes a big impact. If you won, there's no lessons to learn, right? There's no growth opportunity if you won.
Well, and I'm telling you, it was really good for me because of our conversation from that. I think we spent more time on the phone after my loss of what could we have done better? What was the better strategy? I had a good strategy going in. I mean, it was Visnostic sales all the way. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see, almost every page marked. But I had this idea going in, and the idea didn't happen. It didn't occur. And I think what's interesting is there were so many things that were going on that I was not aware of, that once I stepped back, we were able to step back from that situation and actually talk through it. It really was a perfect learning opportunity for me. And it allowed me to grow. I really feel like I'm a better person because of that.
That's really cool. When you were interviewing for the new job, there was a story behind that is really powerful. So people get different jobs for different reasons, right? Sometimes people just put together a really good Visnostics resume. I don't think that's what happened to you, right? Weren't you talking to someone about the book and what you learned? Would you tell that story more on how you got this job offer?
Sure. One of the great things is this. What I'm doing now was all phone interviews because of COVID. We couldn't really meet in person. We didn't have time for Zooms. There were lots of over 1,000 candidates, so they didn't really do that. And so the conversations that I was having were different. I was having different conversations with people, and they didn't all start out great. But me using these ideas and these concepts allowed me to have a conversation with someone that was a decision maker. But I didn't really pretend. I just pretended it was just a conversation. I was going to talk to him. And so I was able to do that. And then the long story short, I made a connection with this person, with the initial interviewer. And our initial call of 2 or 3 minutes, phone disruptions, all these things going on, we were able to get back together, connect again. And that second conversation lasted over an hour. And we weren't really talking business. It was this, how do you relate? And it was all these principles. It wasn't all statements, but it was all these principles and using Bosworth's ideas. Anyway, and so that led to another conversation. And then when we were going through our training, we had several weeks of training, which every company does. I was constantly getting pulled away from our training, and people were saying, what are you doing? What are you doing differently? You're doing something. I don't know what you're doing, but you're different. What are you different? Why are you different? And I would say, hey, have you read my friend's book? Have you read my friend's book? This is a great book. It's a great tool. Have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Bosworth? And lo and behold, the director or the gentleman in charge of all this had actually worked with Bosworth and he was on his board at one time. Bosworth was on his board at one time. And so he knew all this stuff. And he said, I don't know, Miss Kimberly, but I need to get that book because this is all Bosworth. And so that conversation led to another conversation. Well, lo and behold, our group of people that were in this class, there's about 3 of us now, sometimes 4, but we have actually book club. We have a Visnostic book club, and we email and text each other. Hey, what are some good Visnostic statements that you've heard? What would you change here? What are some things that you're doing that would make your presentation, make your conversation different? Are you getting out of this client conversation? Stop talking like a client and let's start talking like customers. We are all customers from something, whether it's from Amazon or YouTube or Netflix or whatever. We're all consumers of something. And so let's get out of this vendor speak and let's really start talking like clients. And it has changed. It's changed the way other people are communicating with each other. Just the small nucleus of people. It really has helped them open opportunities, open different doors within their personal life, just as much as within their professional life.
Have they shared any other personal stories with you? Is there anything that stands out?
With nothing that really stands out, but just the conversations from them. They're saying, "Hey, this." No wonder these things work. It's that idea of releasing of serotonin, that release of the positive brain chemical.
Mm-hmm. This is awesome. Well, so do you have any final thoughts you want to share with everyone?
I think this is a really good opportunity for people to change the way you're communicating right now. It's very easy to do. You're not going to be good at it at first if you don't already do this. Some people already do this, and this is a refresher. But I didn't speak like this, and I was really good at communicating to people to come in and let's do these things with the company that I was previously with, but I didn't know why. I think you've shared this several times. You didn't really know why until you started putting pen on paper and started figuring things out. There's really no luck. It's preparation and understanding what's really going on. And I really felt like this is a way to help me prepare to help customers get what they really want. And it might be from me, it might be from someone else, but I've got to get their attention somehow. And this is a great way and has been a great tool for me to do that.
Well, I see big things in your future because we started talking in March and you nailed your objective by retaining, y'all didn't get laid off because you weren't
That's right.
able to say that you were generating revenue. Then you ended up with a new job and you're the #1 salesperson. So, where do you see
Well, I'm not the #1 salesperson in my company, but I am definitely for the newer hires that have been hired here. I was able to do that, and I think that the sky's the limit. I'm really excited about this. This has been really fun, and it's a definite process. And so I'm really thankful and grateful that you've been kind enough just to share this. This has been wonderful for me. My wife laughs at me all the time, lots of reasons, but mainly yesterday was, why are you watching those videos again? You watch these all the time. Why are you reading this book again? Like every page is marked, and it's like, well, I've got to be on my game. I've got to be able to share, but it sits beside me when I'm having these conversations. I'm able to go back through it. So anyway, it's been definitely beneficial to me. The success stories in this book have really changed me because they had to fail. These people had to fail to have success. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's so neat is where these people failed, and then coming alongside them, you didn't tell them what to do, but you asked them these exact same questions. What would you do to get these people's attention? And anyway, it's helped me. For sure helped me.
Well, awesome. Well, just in case the right person's watching this video wants to give you a new job offer, or wants to get to know you better, or be part of your book club, or whatever, your personality shines through too. I think Visnostics is not just it's not just Visnostics. It becomes a core of your spirit on how you are, because you stop being selfish. You stop talking about what you want to accomplish. You stop thinking about that commission check and what you want to make a meeting and you want to tell them about your company. It's not about you, it's about them. And when you start making things about other people, it kind of shows in your, it shines in your spirit. And that's why, anytime someone takes the time to read a book, I want to take the time and invest in them to help them be successful. I have a vested interest in every single reader success. And so I know a lot of people are bashful and don't want to reach out to me, but I have met great, I don't consider you a reader anymore, Jay. You're a friend of mine.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I think I would agree as well. I mean, I think I share. I don't know if I shared this or not with the group, but I know you and I were talking before. One of the fun things for me was going back through all of our text messages since March, and I took pictures and I gave my presentation. I actually presented to you, and your response was, "You're expecting to win with this?" Like it was terrible. Like it was terrible. But those conversations really did lead to a deeper relationship and a wonderful friendship, and I really value that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good way to get in touch with me is just through email. I'm on Facebook. I'm sometimes on Instagram. I don't go on Instagram very much anymore, but I am on Facebook. Jay Phillips on Facebook. My email is phillips.jfp at gmail.com. And so you're more than welcome to get in touch with me anyway. I'm around and am more than happy to help any way I can.
All right. Jay, thanks for your time this morning. I really appreciate you sharing your success story.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So everyone, y'all have a great day and happy Visnostics.